Everything in woman is a riddle. Friedrich Nietzsche. Every man is taught to be safe, to be kind, to be agreeable. Not because it makes him powerful, but because it makes him acceptable to his teachers, to his friends, and most dangerously, to women. From a young age, you were told, be gentle, be soft, be liked. And if you were any of these things, you were praised. But if you were too wild, too ambitious, too intense, you were called too much. So you learned to shrink, to smile more, to speak less, to hide your edge, so no one would feel uncomfortable, especially her. Because you thought that would make you lovable, but it didn't. Because here's the truth, most women are drawn to power until they realize they can't control it. Then they fear it. Friedrich Nietzsche saw this clearly. Woman wants to be taken, he wrote, but not by weakness. By strength she can guide, tame, or mold. In other words, she desires the fire, but fears getting burned. She wants a man who leads, but only to places she approves of. A man who's free, but still asks permission. And when you become something else, when you grow into someone who no longer bends, no longer pleases, no longer needs, you stop being attractive in the traditional sense. You become uncontrollable. And that is what most women cannot handle. It's not your cruelty she fears, it's your freedom. Because a free man is unpredictable, uncontainable, untamed, and to the insecure feminine, that feels like danger. Not because you'll hurt her, but because she can't shape you. You see, for much of history, powerful men were both desired and distrusted. They built nations, fought wars, wrote philosophies, but they weren't soft, they weren't polite. They were ruthless, not in violence, but in independence. And Nietzsche admired this. He didn't see men as moral creatures to be tamed. He saw them as forces of will, creators of values, carriers of fire, and fire is never safe. This is the first dark truth. The more powerful you become, the more alone you will feel. Not because you're unworthy of love, but because true power intimidates those who cannot match it. You thought growing would bring you more love, but instead, it made her uncomfortable. You thought purpose would inspire respect, but instead, it made her pull away. You thought confidence would bring devotion, but instead, it brought resistance. Why? Because your growth reminded her that she could no longer lead you, that you didn't need her guidance, her approval, her comfort, and that made her feel irrelevant. Most women don't fear toxic men. They fear untouchable men. Men who don't explain, men who don't apologize for their fire, men who are so rooted in their mission that no amount of affection can sway them from it. Nietzsche would say, "You're not here to be understood. You're here to be, to will, to rise, to shape reality." And that kind of man cannot be tamed by validation. So what happens? She tries to soften you, to round your edges, to tame the wildness. She once claimed to love, and if you let her, you lose, not just her, but yourself. Because the moment you abandon your edge to make her stay, she stops wanting you. That's the paradox. She wants the lion dash until she realizes she can't leash him. Then she looks for a house cat and wonders why she feels bored. But the lion doesn't shrink. He walks away, not in bitterness, but in sovereignty. Because he knows if I must become less to be loved, then it was never love. Most women are drawn to powerful men until they realize they can't control them. They desire strength, ambition, and confidence. But when that strength becomes self-sufficient, when ambition no longer seeks approval, and when confidence turns into independence, fear sets in. Why? Because such a man cannot be molded, managed, or manipulated. He becomes a force unto himself. Carl Jung introduced the concept of the anima, the feminine aspect within a man's unconscious. This inner feminine influences how a man relates to women, emotions, and his own psyche. When a man is unaware of his anima, he projects it onto women, seeking validation and completeness through them. But when he integrates his anima, he no longer seeks external approval. He becomes whole, and that wholeness is intimidating. Sigmund Freud, exploring the depths of female psychology, noted the complexities of women's desires and fears. He observed that women often seek emotional dominance in relationships, desiring control over their partner's affections and actions. Yet paradoxically, they are drawn to men who resist this control, men who are autonomous and self-directed. This creates a tension, the desire to possess, and the allure of the unattainable. This tension gives rise to fear, not fear of harm, but fear of irrelevance. A man who does not seek validation cannot be manipulated through praise or criticism. He is immune to emotional coercion. His self-worth is self-generated. And for those accustomed to influencing through emotional means, this is unsettling. Jung emphasized the importance of integrating the anima to achieve individuation, a state of psychological completeness. A man who has achieved this is not swayed by external expectations. He acts from his own convictions. He is not cold or unfeeling, rather, he is centered and grounded. Such a man cannot be led astray by fleeting emotions or societal pressures. Freud's exploration of female desire revealed a similar paradox. Women may express a desire for safety and predictability, yet are often captivated by unpredictability and strength. They may profess a preference for gentle partners, yet find themselves drawn to those who challenge them. This contradiction stems from deep-seated psychological patterns. The crux of the matter is this: a man who is self-possessed and autonomous cannot be controlled, and that lack of control is what instills fear, not because he is dangerous, but because he is beyond influence. He does not conform to expectations. He does not seek approval. He is, in essence, free. This freedom is both alluring and intimidating. It represents the ultimate challenge, a partner who cannot be swayed, only met as an equal. For many, this is too daunting. They retreat, seeking relationships where influence is attainable. But for the man, this realization is liberating. He understands that true connection comes not from dependence, but from mutual respect. He no longer compromises his values for acceptance. He no longer dims his light to make others comfortable. He stands tall, unapologetically himself. In embracing this path, he may find fewer companions. But those who walk alongside him will do so not out of need, but out of choice. And that is the foundation of genuine connection. Desire is a double-edged sword. Women are often drawn to strength, confidence, and independence in men. These qualities signal security, leadership, and the ability to navigate life's challenges. Yet, paradoxically, the very traits that attract can also intimidate. Why does this paradox exist? Carl Jung introduced the concept of the anima, the feminine aspect within a man's unconscious. This inner figure shapes how a man relates to women and his own emotions. When a man projects his anima onto a woman, he may idealize her, seeking completion through her. However, as he integrates his anima, he becomes more self-contained, less reliant on external validation. This self-sufficiency can be unsettling. A man who no longer seeks approval is harder to influence, making him appear aloof or detached. His independence, once attractive, now challenges the dynamics of control and influence in the relationship. Sigmund Freud observed similar complexities in female desire. He noted that women might be drawn to men who are emotionally unavailable or challenging, as these dynamics can mirror unresolved internal conflicts. The core of the paradox lies in control. A man who is emotionally autonomous cannot be easily swayed. His self-worth isn't tied to external affirmation. This autonomy can be both alluring and intimidating. It offers the promise of stability, but denies the comfort of influence. In relationships, this dynamic plays out subtly. A woman may test boundaries, seeking reassurance of her influence. If the man remains unaffected, she might feel insecure, questioning her value in the relationship. Conversely, if he yields too easily, she might perceive him as lacking strength. So, what's the path forward? Understanding this paradox requires recognizing the balance between independence and connection. A man must maintain his autonomy while being emotionally available. He should be steadfast in his values, yet open to intimacy. For women, acknowledging this dynamic can lead to healthier relationships. Recognizing the difference between influence and control allows for genuine connection without power struggles. In conclusion, men should strive for self-integration, balancing independence with emotional openness. Women should seek connection without the need for control, embracing the strength in mutual respect. This delicate balance transforms the paradox of desire into a harmonious dance of mutual growth and understanding. Strength and vulnerability, two forces often seen as opposites, yet in truth, they are deeply intertwined. In the realm of relationships, especially between men and women, this interplay becomes a delicate dance. A man who embodies both power and vulnerability presents a paradox. He is unshakable yet open, commanding yet compassionate. Why does this combination evoke such complex reactions? Carl Jung introduced the concept of the anima, the feminine aspect within a man's unconscious. This inner figure influences how a man relates to women and his own emotions. When a man integrates his anima, he becomes more attuned to his feelings, allowing for genuine vulnerability without compromising his strength. This integration fosters a balanced individual who can lead with confidence while remaining emotionally accessible. Such a man doesn't fear vulnerability. He understands it's a facet of true strength. However, this balance can be unsettling to some. Sigmund Freud observed that women often grapple with conflicting desires. The yearning for a strong partner and the simultaneous fear of being overpowered. This internal conflict can lead to ambivalence when confronted with a man who embodies both dominance and emotional depth. The fear isn't of harm, but of losing control. A man who is both powerful and vulnerable cannot be easily categorized or manipulated. His unpredictability challenges traditional dynamics, prompting introspection and at times discomfort. Yet, it's within this discomfort that growth occurs. When both partners embrace the dance of power and vulnerability, they pave the way for deeper connection and mutual respect. The relationship transcends superficial roles, allowing each individual to evolve and flourish. In embracing this dance, men learn that vulnerability doesn't diminish their strength, it enhances it. Women discover that true power lies not in control, but in trust and openness. This harmonious interplay becomes the foundation for authentic, resilient relationships. True power is not about domination, it's about integration. Friedrich Nietzsche's concept of the will to power is often misconstrued as a mere drive for control over others. However, at its core, it represents the individual striving to overcome internal limitations and achieve self-mastery. This journey towards self-overcoming is not a solitary endeavor. As individuals evolve, they inevitably influence and are influenced by those around them. The integration of self and other becomes essential. Carl Jung's process of individuation complements Nietzsche's philosophy. Jung posited that individuation, the integration of the conscious and unconscious aspects of the psyche, leads to the realization of the self. This holistic self is capable of forming genuine connections without losing its identity. In relationships, this integrated self doesn't seek validation but offers authenticity. Such individuals engage with others not out of neediness, but from a place of wholeness. They can appreciate and connect with others without compromising their own values or autonomy. This balance transforms relationships. Instead of power struggles or dependencies, relationships become partnerships of mutual growth. Each person supports the other's journey towards self-actualization. In conclusion, embrace self-overcoming. Strive to understand and integrate all facets of your being. Foster authentic connections. Engage with others from a place of wholeness, not deficiency. Cultivate mutual growth. Support and be supported in the shared journey of individuation. By integrating the self and embracing genuine relationships, one embodies the true essence of Nietzsche's will to power, not as domination, but as the art of becoming. Stay tuned for our next exploration, where we'll delve deeper into the practical applications of these philosophies in everyday life.